Everybody here is out of sight, but they don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things loose. They keep.
This is your finest
light.
work, by the way, JT the Vic.
Everybody was
Baskin.
in the moonlight.
Baskin.
In the moonlight, everybody's breathing warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody was
Baskin.
in the moonlight.
Baskin.
In the moonlight, everybody's breathing warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody's
Baskin.
in the moonlight.
It's just the best theme song in the business. Andy Baskin, sports director for News Channel 5 in Cleveland. Also Baskin and Phelps on 92.3. I know the intro to his show can't be as good as this intro on our show. Andy, great to talk to you again, buddy. How are
Not
you?
even close, man. I got it. Can we get that? Can we buy that? All the rights from that to get that on our show?
I know a guy about a guy about a guy. I'll try to have it emailed over to you at some point today.
As long as he's not hanging out with Josh Gordon, or maybe he is hanging out with Josh Gordon, then we got a deal.
All right, we start there. Look, I have addiction in my family. I think a lot of us have been touched by addiction. The sympathy card for Josh Gordon, for me, has run out. I can't believe when you have the type of the facilities, everything's made easier as far as handling stuff like this with money because you can get the best care that there is. And I just can't imagine what it must be like they're dealing with this in the area because I can't imagine there's much sympathy here, Andy.
There's none. No, I mean, most people around here are like, really? Are we going through this again?
Yeah.
And I think part of the things, and we talked about this on our show today, is it addiction or is he just an idiot? And I think that's the next question because, you know, how much alcohol was in his system? Let's find out more about that. And, you know, with the way people are feeling about marijuana right now, I think that some people could be like, okay, all right, I can kind of maybe not understand why you would want to give up an NFL career for that, but understand why someone would do that. So it is mind-boggling to me how a kid who's so talented and when you see him in the locker room, seems like just such a regular, nice guy, can walk out of that facility in Berea and just find himself in trouble time and time and time again.
It's just unbelievable when you have these types. This situation, and again, people get caught up in this, Andy. They get, he does. Don't get in the man's pocket, or why? It's not that. It's just if you're in this and you have this ability and you've worked your way up to this level to squander it in this manner. That's the only way that I can look at it. It's such a finite amount of time in this sport that you're able to play at the level because of the toll it takes on your body. It's just, I don't want to say tragic, but it certainly is disappointing to see a young man kind of lose all of it because he can't correct the knuckleheadedness, for lack of a better term.
And now you're looking at 5 games in 2 seasons. Is it worth it? Mike Lombardi said a long time ago when he was drafted, he said, and this was in the supplemental pick, Mike Lombardi was here last year, said, this kid is a wasted pick. And he was right. I think Joe Banner was trying to move him. I think Ray Farmer knew that there might even be issues with him coming back this year. You know, the Browns had 7 wins. Looked like everything was going good. They had a, big game that week against Cincinnati, and then all of a sudden Ray Farmer's talking about, well, let's see how he integrates himself back into the offense. And, 1 touchdown and another suspension at the end of the season for missing a practice. It's just not worth it at this point. It's not worth it for the Browns. And the one thing he did do is any value he may have had right now, the Browns have 0 value with him now, too. So even if they were trying to move him for a 6th or 7th round draft pick, what GM in the world would do that for Josh Gordon right now?
Andy Baskin joins us from Cleveland, Andy_Baskin on Twitter. And I can't believe, Andy, the difference between, the beginning part of the NFL season and how bright the future looked. And you're looking there with Kyle Shanahan saying, wow, they're doing this without Cameron. They're doing this without Gordon. And wow, it just looks so healthy. And now where you are now, that Manziel looks like a complete disaster and Gordon is not going to, you can't keep him on this team. And Kyle Shanahan quits, leaves, and now is in Atlanta. It's almost like the opposite side of the coin as to where the Browns were when we started talking and where they are now.
Yeah, not for long. I mean, we all talk about it. That's exactly what it is here in Cleveland for the NFL. There's no question. Kyle Shanahan, we were all talking. I mean, we had a conversation one day on our show about where will he be a head coach in the near future. That was one of our topics in the middle of the season. And to see how everything just turned so fast. And then you read stories like ESPN had last week about Johnny Manziel and how guys just think he's a joke in the locker room. Now, I had heard undertones of all those things. But, teammates don't necessarily get along all the time. We all know that. One guy may not like somebody, so you think one guy might say something bad, two guys might not. Maybe you got a little group here, a little group there. I mean, the story from ESPN, they had talked to 20 different people talking about how Johnny's partying wasn't helping the way he's playing, didn't know the playbook, and wasn't ready. My question is how did this guy ever get on the field if 20 guys over there in Berea that were playing or doing something in the organization said that? How did he ever get on the field this season?
It's strange, and we ask ourselves that question here in Washington when Griffin gets back on the field after you beat the Cowboys, and you're going into the bye week with an opportunity afterwards to get to 500 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, how different does your season look? And it's just, I think that a lot of these decisions are made by people that shouldn't be making them in both cases. The quote that Manziel is a 100% joke. Here's what I would be troubled with, Andy, if I'm a Browns fan. There is no reason to believe he will change anything about himself. This has been his reputation the entire time, and when he was a college kid, it flew because he's a college kid, and the big bad media is beating him up, even though a lot of the stuff that he was criticized for, he was putting out to the media via his social networking websites. It's over now. The bloom's off the rose. You're no longer winning games, and you're sitting on the bench, and they wasted another first-round pick on you. And while it's funny for us and the rest of the world to see that guy that has the jersey with all of the Browns quarterbacks on the name of it each and every season, that can't be funny for Browns fans, and it can't be funny for the Browns. Do you even give him what is it, a quarterback competition moving forward? I mean, how bad is it with Manziel right now?
Well, I think right now it's up to. First of all, I think if they could release him, they would want to. It just seems like it's been too much trouble between Josh and Johnny, and then you hear about even the last couple of weeks, Josh and Johnny are here, Josh and Johnny are there. Man, this tandem is not working. Bonnie and Clyde, or Clyde and Clyde, whatever you want to say, that's not working. Those guys aren't helping out each other and trying to make themselves better football players and understanding their professions. And Johnny said, "Hey, when it's time to party, it's time to party. When it's time to play football, it's time to play football." Well, he didn't live up to the football end of that. And they're going to have to make some kind of decision, and Jimmy Haslam didn't give him any kind of vote of confidence here over the last week when he was able to talk to the media, the owner of the Browns. And I don't know. I think that if anything, he's earned the right to come back to camp as a guy that might be able to try out for starting quarterback again next year. He failed miserably this year across the board, on the field and off the field. So the Browns are still finding themselves in a position where they don't have a quarterback, and this is the norm here. The line here is when Mike Pettin came in, they stole the line from the Jets, play like a Jet, play like a Brown here. We have no idea what that means. What does play like a Brown means? And it starts with not having a quarterback.
So you think that if they could, they would just release him?
I don't know. Not release is a tough word. And when you look at the contract situation that he is under here, I mean, it's very favorable for the Browns. And
right.
I think if maybe they could get some value for him, okay. He's a Brown right now. And if something changes, I will not be shocked. If they could figure out a way to trade him or get some kind of value back on that pick, I would not be surprised if they wanted to do that.
It'd be so wonderful.
Who wants him, though? That's my question. Who wants that?
Dallas.
It's a train wreck.
Trade him to Dallas.
Okay, well, if they're dumb enough to give us something that's worthwhile, hey, you want to give us a first-round pick? We can just call it a boo-boo for 1 year. That'd be great. I'd love that. That would be the steal of the century.
That's so funny. You go to your basketball team. They look like they're turning it around a little bit. Is it the coach? Is it LeBron? I mean, you had those videos. There was the shoving incident, and there's these videos that surface of him in a team huddle, not even paying attention to what the coach is saying. But defensively, they certainly look like they're better now. Was it the trades? Is it a different mentality? Are they finally congealing? What's the update with the Cavs?
I think it's all the above. I think that David Blatt's kind of taken over and realized that he's a head coach in the NBA now, and he's not coaching in Israel anymore. And that, this staff wasn't – Sam Rutigliano, the former Browns coach, who I did a show with here for a long time, used to say any coach who's in there and didn't hire his own assistant coaches is in big trouble. from day one.
Yeah.
And when David came here, now, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong. He's got great assistant coaches here, but he didn't hire him, and they were kind of hired on before he figured out what it was. And he didn't work with any of these guys before, so I think he kind of sat down a couple of weeks ago, right before they played these LA games, and he took the team bowling. This is the whole winning streak started instead of going to practice. He took the Cavs bowling. And suddenly that turned it. Now every team in the world is going to go bowling.
I like
if they have
bowling.
a losing streak. I do too. But I do think that David Blatt's he's changed his tune. I think there's no question he's in charge right now. There's no one looking to Tyronn Lue to see if he's calling timeouts or who's calling timeouts. It's David Blatt. The other thing is LeBron's healthy, and he needed those days off. And he's playing like he used to play, and he is dominating back out on the floor. But go back and look at all the box scores in this 6-game winning streak. I mean, the Cavs are playing defense, much better defense than they did in the beginning of the year. I think part of that has to do with being upgraded on defense. And the other thing is they're distributing the ball, and guys are, they're getting equal numbers of shots, and they're getting the ball there. It's good. It's good ball movement again, and so they're playing defense, good ball movement, and I think they're buying into the team atmosphere. And having Mozgov in at center is a huge difference. It has made a wonderful change for this team to have a true center back in there, a guy that can clog up the lane a little bit. And, Anderson Varejao is just undersized, I think, to play that position the way they wanted him to do it, and he gets hurt, and so now you get Mozgov in here. And so far, everything's clicking. It's going the right direction.
Are they going to sign Ray Allen?
I don't know. They said, there's always talk that LeBron went down there. I think Ray Allen would be a good fit for this team. The backup point guard, I think, is something that this team needs. I'm not. They go to Matthew Dellavedova every once in a while, and while that guy's high energy, if you see that Delly's played more than 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you this team's going to lose. You can't have him or Joe Harris or Virginia guy, who I love. I love watching this guy play. I love the way he shoots. But if those guys are getting big-time minutes, the Cavs are in trouble. And you can go back and look at some of the games earlier in the season. Joe's a first-year guy who probably should be playing in the D-League down in Canton more than he is here, and they had to use him. They had to use Dellavedova. So they're healthy, and they've got veterans out on the floor, and it makes a big difference.
All right, Andy, I like having you on the show, so brings me no joy when I have to threaten you, but if you don't send me some Chill Wave double IPA by Great Lakes to 4200 Parliament Place in Lanham, Maryland within the next, I'd say, week to 2 weeks, I'm coming down there to Cleveland, and we're going to go round and round.
Dude, I don't even want to mess with you, and the next thing I know, I'll be on your show. I won't have a theme song.
It'll just all go the way of the dodo.
Or something. Yeah. So what do you want? You want Chill Wave?
Chill Wave double IPA.
Double IPA. All right. Done deal.
You're the best. At
we'll
Andy_Baskin. Let's talk soon, brother. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Then I'll drink those beers, and then I'll be drunk, and then we can talk, which will make it even that much more entertaining. That's right, Vic. Double IPA, 7.5. IBUs right at about 80. Knock your socks off. Just hop you right to hell and back. It's Metallica Monday on Chad Dukes versus the World.